How is everybody out there in social media land? How is everyone? So it was a busy weekend for me. How you doing, Joel? You good? Yeah. Yeah, it was a busy weekend for me. I was a little busy running around, getting ready for the movie and everything like that. So yep, you could sit there. But I have a guest today, Mr. Joel Wilson. He's coming on to talk about.
Oh yeah! Oh yeah! Oh yeah! This was y'all been waiting.
He's coming on to talk about his program, Tech Core 2. His program is Tech Core 2, and it is a STEM program, and he's here to tell us all about this tech program. You may remember him from 100 Black Men, but now he's doing Tech Core 2.
Yep.
So how you doing today, Joe?
Oh, I'm doing great. Appreciate being here.
Absolutely. I love to have you on as a guest. I love what you're doing with the community, with the youth. So tell my guests about Tech Core. The headphones. Forgot all about you. Put your headphones on so you can hear yourself.
Grab the headphones.
So you can hear yourself there.
So yeah, Tech Core 2 is actually it's a tech STEM based mentoring program for youth.
Okay.
And we started this back in 2015, and the focus at that time was to go from kindergarten up through high school, into college, and into careers, because we follow them and help them with that during that whole path.
Okay.
But one of the new things we were bringing in for this fall is that now we have a program for preschool students.
Wow.
Students as young as 4.
Wow.
So we're getting them into engineering, engineering design. We're part of the Lego First League.
Okay.
And so for that young group, that pre-K through first grade, so it goes from about age 4 through 6, we're stimulating their mind. They have their own engineering design programs they're working with. And these are the type things, when you get a young person involved at that age,
yes,
you capture them for the rest of their life.
I was surprised to hear you say preschool, because I know that preschoolers can do it, because they're on these phones.
Absolutely.
Downloading apps and doing all kinds of things like that, and they know how to work these phones so well.
So I'm gonna tell you, one sort of secret in our community, and it's something that we have to just fight against. Our parents have fear in things they did not do well in.
Yes.
Whether it's math,
yes,
or English, reading. And so sometimes we project that onto the student. Absolutely. And so we hurt the student from ever developing.
Right.
And fortunately, we have some amazing parents out there, and they know that. They know their own limitations, but what they do is they don't put it off on their child.
Yes.
And I have one just small thing I went through when I was coming up. I was fortunate. I went to I'll say this, when I started off as a young kid, they were gonna leave me back in second grade. So I had my own challenge. I had a reading block, all that, and I had to work. I had to actually go to summer school, and right after second grade, so I could go to third grade,
right?
Because I was going to get left back. But fast forward, by the time I got into high school, and at that time I was a pretty good student, so I was taking competitive math, and my mother is so funny. So, we had she had rules of when I had to do homework and all this stuff. So, basically when I got home, I had to attack homework. Right. So I'm doing my thing. So I finished up, went on to college and all that. So we happened to be talking, and my mom is like, I ain't never understand that stuff you were doing.
Right.
She just faked the funk.
She just faked it,
making me believe she knew what I was doing.
But that was a good thing.
It was an excellent thing.
That was a good thing, because it's so funny that you say that, because I remember telling EA when I was in high school, my grandmother, we're from South Philly, and my grandmother didn't want me to go to school nowhere outside of South Philly. But I couldn't go to South Philly High, so it wasn't like it was that many other options. So I graduated from Bach, which I'm glad I did go to Bach, and I graduated. But
I was just up there the other week. They have a real nice.
Yes, it's a nice setup there,
nice
isn't
restaurant up there.
Yes. I actually did my podcast live up there like 2 summers ago from off the rooftop. But I wanted to go to Bodine. High School for International Affairs, because I wanted to be an international lawyer when I was young.
Okay.
And that was like the only high school in the city that actually like offered extensive law curriculum.
Right.
But my grandmother was like, nope, she would not allow me to go to that school because it was in North Philly, and she like that side where that was at, I would have been fine. You know what I mean? But so when you say we project our fears onto our children, yes, we do. We'll hold them back because of something that we're afraid of.
Correct.
We'll hold them back. That's why I try with my grandchildren that I have custody of. I try to get them involved with different things. You know what I'm saying?
How old are your grandkids?
Remember, my grandson was in.
I saw the one. Yeah.
I have a 13-year-old granddaughter. I have a 10-year-old grandson, a 9-year-old grandson, and an 8-year-old grandson, a 3-year-old grandson, and a 2-year-old granddaughter.
Well, we have classes for all but the youngest two.
Right. Except for the babies.
Couple years they can come on.
Yes. One more year for Paul. He can come to that preschool.
Yep, to the 4-year-old.
But like you said, getting the children involved at that age is such a great thing, because if most people don't know, between the ages of newborn and 5, they absorb so much.
Correct.
And to have them be able to go to a STEM program at their age, they'll be like so much further ahead. By the time they actually get in school with the math and everything, they'll be on it. So I think that is a great idea to start something for preschoolers.
Absolutely. Like you could pick, like we advocate for all the STEM career paths.
Right.
Our specialty is on the tech side.
Okay.
But you could pick any STEM career path, and it is not rocket science to have success there. What it does require is preparation. You know, it does require that. And another big thing is if the student can be immersed in a culture that supports what they are doing, then it just becomes the thing that everybody does.
Like a natural.
So it's like, well, why did that student get an A on calculus? Because all his friends got A's on calculus.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And so that's all we just trying to normalize this thing.
Yes.
You know, if you want to be a software engineer, no problem. We can get you to learn 2, 3, 4 programming languages before you come out of high school. So then when you show up to college and your instructor is like, oh, okay, you know, you have to pick a language, you're going to write this in. You're not sitting there like, oh my God, I've never written in any language before. You're like, wow, I know 3 or 4.
Right.
Let me choose the one I like the best. And we have kids, you know, 12, 13 years old. They know 2, 3 different programming languages.
That is great. That's great.
So again, it's not rocket science. We have a formula. You could do it.
So are you having? So I know that mostly 100 Black Men was mostly boys.
Correct.
Is this for girls and boys? This tech core program?
Absolutely, it's a co-ed program. It's always been co-ed. We have co-ed with the youth in our program. We also have co-ed in diversity.
Get it together, bro.
So I have to cut you off. So is this Solomon Jones, the chess teacher who used to teach chess at Volks?
I don't know if he teaches chess, but he's Solomon, the writer, the author.
Yes.
Solomon Jones is.
He's the one who.
Solomon Jones is a small. And this is out of respect to the elders. He's a little version. He's a little small version of Tom Joyner.
Yes.
Okay.
My opinion.
Well, no, I read his book.
No, honestly,
So I was just
things that he advocated, things that he pushed for. First thing, just watching him, only from television and radio. He's always advocating for further education.
Yeah.
Great universities for us. And he was always looked at as a brilliant individual. And I don't really know too much of his background, just what I because it was at the time when I was studying the Cornell Westers and the people like that. So when his name came about as being one of the intellects, I said, oh, he's decent.
I got him confused with someone else.
You did.
This is Solomon from WURD, right? Okay.
Correct.
Okay. I'm thinking about the guy that was the principal at Volks that did the chess with the did the chess with the students there, and he wrote a book. His name was Solomon too, but I don't think it was Jones.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, so I got him mixed up, but I do know who Solomon Jones is. WURD.
Right.
Yes,
right.
yes, and the newspaper too, Daily News. Okay, okay. Yes, I am familiar with both. So Solomon. So
Don't get it misconstrued.
yes, I fixed that, Solomon. So if you're listening, I cleared that up. So
He could have been there playing chess.
Is he a partner in the program with you?
So he's not a partner. It's interesting because Solomon's son was actually in our program for a number of years.
Okay.
I remember
I would say he endorsing it. You know, he's behind it. He's like how I feel about it. You know, every child, every parent need to know about it first because information is passed on to your parents or your guardian. So, go ahead.
Yeah. So I mean, his son was in a program, and we started that summer, and this is about 5 years ago. That summer, we started a new class, a video production class.
Okay. That's
And
great.
so we hired a young lady. She was going
There you
to
go.
community college at the time, and she was our instructor.
Okay.
So, everyone took the same class. Solomon had the same, his son's name is Solomon. He had the same number of hours, but he just took to it. He just took. So when the summer was over, I started hiring him to do videos for
Wow.
the program.
Okay.
And within a couple years, he was professional,
pro.
grade, quality video producer. So if you look at any of the videos up through last year,
Right.
they were all done by Solomon. Some of
Wow.
our, the videos I use for marketing purpose and all that, he was killing it. And what's interesting is that when kids come into the program, we ask them, what do you want to do? So, when he was like, I get 14, 13, 14, what do you want to do? I want to be an aerospace engineer. I want to
Wow.
go to engineering and science.
Wow, because you don't hear a lot of kids.
Khadijah, they said Solomon Thomas is who you talking about.
Oh, Solomon Thomas.
Somebody had to correct her.
Somebody
Respect on
yes.
that
Solomon
Thank you.
Thomas L. Yes, that's exactly who I'm talking about. L, I remember.
Right.
Doing that day.
Yes,
Absolutely.
yes, yes.
This is Solomon
This
Jones.
is Solomon Jones.
Let's
Yes.
put
I
you
mean,
right there.
they're both dope black men, though. They're both dope black men.
Never had too
I can't co-sign the other one.
They're both dope
And I don't just
black men.
go by words.
I go.
I gotta do my own research.
Well, you had to research him because he was a principal at Vaux, your mom's school, for a really long time, and he went to Vaux and he started the chess program there, and they won like the national
okay.
championships.
Yeah, I
And
remember-
his name was Solomon. And
That
I
was-
thought that was him, but thank
okay.
you. Thank you.
That's what's up.
Yeah, so, yeah. But yeah, so
was a
Solomon
good one.
Jones, so like I said, I am familiar with him. So the Tech Core program, and you said that it's,
Let me just tell you this
Yeah, go
last
ahead.
piece on this story because it was just so impactful. So when a young man started, he wanted to be an aerospace engineer. He wanted to go to engineering and science. And so one of the things that we're big on is always getting young folks to talk about what they want to do in the future.
Right.
You want to keep that vision in their head. You want to give them something to work toward.
Yeah.
So he gets accepted to engineering and science. And while he's there, he's doing videos for us and all that. But his craft in video production is just increasing. I mean, again,
Right.
professional level. So by the time he got to be like a junior, like, hey, you still gonna go for engineering? Because I have a school that I want you to apply to if you're gonna go for engineering. He's like, well, I think I want to go for film now. So he actually started this fall at Temple as a film student.
Wow.
Wow.
So he,
Wow.
so I'll take credit that
Yes,
we got him
absolutely.
started.
That's so dope, though.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And just for the
yes.
record, we talk about, a great association, organization, whatever you want to attribute it.
Yes.
We're giving you information. The information is powerful. We always talk about where the program's at. I hear people.
Yes.
I hear, and I was one of the ones saying it.
Yes, me too.
And I could smack myself upside the head because I'm like, oh, well, it might have been a few times after going down to see the school,
Right.
visiting the school, doing a walkthrough because I put it on my page. This is something great. You remember the OIC program? Remember OIC program?
Mm-hmm.
Just as symbolic to the OIC program. You don't have to go to Glen Mills first.
Right.
That's right.
We don't
You don't
want
have
you
to
to
go
go
to
to Glen
Slayton Farms for, but that's where they headed. Let's just keep it all the way
Well,
real.
I think Glen Mills is closed.
Well, I'm symbolically.
Juvenile.
They understand.
We don't
It's
want
symbolically.
we don't want you to go.
You
to
don't have
juvenile
to get
facilities.
a PP number first. You don't have to get a DOC number first. You do not.
Who?
You know,
Wow.
it is just, you know, listen, Tech Core 2. This is an organization and a program for children.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Children, parents. The number, I'm going to give y'all the information. I'm going
Yes.
to take my time and give it to y'all.
I was just getting ready to
For
give
this
you that.
transcript. Now, the dates, there are 2 locations. This specific spot is at University City, UC. Now, the phone number where you can contact Joe Wilson, 267-405-1921. Again, 267-405-1921. Or you can go to their website, which is www.techcore2.org. Tech, I'm going to spell it out. T is in Tom, E is in Eric, C is in cat, H is in house, C is in cat, O is in Oscar, R like Romeo, E like Eric, the number 2.org.
Yeah.
Or go to their Instagram, techcore2_info.
Yes.
Now, you heard him. Let me just. You heard him saying some of. Now, this is for some of our parents. Let me talk to y'all real quick. You know that some of our children. I'm one of the ones that I used to be on the little yellow bus. Laugh about it. I used to crack up when I think about it. It's funny to me now. But I used to get all A's. So I was always smart, but I used to be labeled as a class clown. And then let me speed it up real quick. Yes, I used to make people laugh. I found myself telling the story a lot. I think it's important. I used to make everybody laugh. I used to take pineapple now ladies for the girls, and I used to crack jokes to make the guys laugh. You know, but I always had good grades. I always did my homework. So what they did was diagnose me and said I'd be better off in a special ed class.
Just because you was a clan. Just because you ain't made.
And I was in one of them classes, but the people that was in there, it wasn't like crazy people. It was just behavioral people.
Yeah.
Follow me, walk with me. Being my age, right? So I was one of those class. Eventually, I went to Boone. I got kicked out of all these District 6 schools. They didn't want to put me in any of the schools. Germantown didn't even accept me. So, you know, the G ain't want me after King and Downey and Roosevelt. The G ain't even want me. I was mad. I was embarrassed, never forget, going up there with my mom for my brother, and they asked my mom at Ada Lewis when he was going to go there, is he the brother of Eric Allen? I was embarrassed because I was with my mom. That really embarrassed me. So let's speed it up. I went to jail, trying to be slick, drug dealer, all that stuff, carrying guns, playing with guns, all that cool stuff. What changed me is the penitentiary. Because I had knowledge of self before I went there, studying Islam. So when I went there, I wanted to know all this stuff they saying I can't do. Put pictures in your house. I want to know what they really talk about, because they speak in this other language, and that's throwing me off. I got to learn that, but I'll never really be able to get it unless I learn how to read that same language and where the glyphics that come from that made that language. You follow me? Mm-hmm. So, I wish that I never went to jail, but jail was one of the best things that turned me around. First, I wanted to turn me around. So, yes, jail, but it was too late. Janice Brinkley, the same judge that sends Meek Mills, she said, okay, I understand that you, and I was taught, I was helped learn this philosophy or this phrase to say, Your Honor, society is trying to make me out to be somebody that I'm really not to be. I'm not that person. I'm a changed man. That was like a little thing that we used to, the old age used to teach you what to say. Mm-hmm. We used to go to court. You know what I mean? So the old age wasn't that bad back in the day. They teach you now that you're in trouble. But they ain't ever teach me how to not get in trouble. I know the Nation of Islam was for the older guys, a little older than me, but I don't remember. They did have the gang patrol. They did have that. But we're missing a lot of the programs that stop the kids from going into them jails. From number one, getting a PP number, which is a county number. I don't know what PP stand for, but I know it's a county number that you're given when you first go through the county. Wow, different, like a Social Security number. It carry you. Then if you go to jail upstate in a state facility, you get a DOC number, Department of Corrections, because you're no longer under your Social Security under that. So where am I going with all that? Let's stop the kids before they actually make those bump into these bumps in the logs, these stumbling blocks. Because some young boys, you can look at them. You can ask them, what is your goals? Where are you planning to be in the next 3 months? They don't know what they're doing tomorrow unless it's about a party. Unless it's somebody great do a rap event. Somebody great rap, sing, a twerk event. And if they ain't got a job, I don't care if they say they self-employed. They don't know where their next dollar coming from. They can say, I got a business. Let me see a profit and loss. They gonna not know what I'm talking about. They don't know what I'm talking about grown folks. They don't know what a profit and loss is. Talk about they're self-employed. So when the feds or the state grab you and they talk about where do you get your income from, you're gonna say, I got a business. Okay, submit your financials. You're not gonna be able to do it because you're uneducated. So let's get off these adults that's hard-headed. Let's even get off the 14, 15, 16-year-olds because they're the shooters. The 17, 18-year-olds is the shooters. Real rap. They're the ignorant ones right now. I'm going to call a spade since we talking on the business level that is very serious, since we quoting OIC. Back in the day, they used to ask you to go in the military. People don't even want to be police officers no more. They don't want to be firemen.
Right.
Y'all want to be gangsters and goons. Y'all want to be more in the grave than anything in the world. So, Tech Core 2. Adults, parents. I started off before I start ranting, explaining that I'm talking to the adults. Call this number. Enroll your child in it. Especially ladies, if you're raising a male and a female without the other parent, male or female, call right now so we can lock you in. 267-405-1921. Because it's that serious. Your child's life depends on it.
And just like EA said, we have to, it's up to us as adults. You know, when I was raising my kids, I was a young parent, and what was important to me was making sure I went to work and made sure the kids had something to eat and that they went to school every day. But it was so hard for me to focus on anything else besides just that. You understand what I'm saying? But now that I'm raising my grandchildren, I try to keep them involved. You know, like I brought my grandson and my little cousin to 100 Black Men. I try to keep the children.
Stop saying their name. I don't like them no more. Excuse me.
Can you stop hollering?
Stop saying their name. No, cut your mic.
Well, no, because I don't know what's going on. So you have to let me know because I don't know what's going on.
I don't like bloodsuckers. I'm
just saying because Joel was there at that time. Okay. And that's where I took them to because Joel was there. Too. But as I said, I try to keep my grandchildren and I babysit my cousin's son. I try to keep them all involved in things. You know what I'm saying? Because it is up to us as parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, neighbors. When we see something or we hear about programs for the children, that we get the children involved. Right. Because I know from my past, I always was like, I don't have time. Right. You understand what I'm saying? But now that I'm older, I had time to go out.
So touch on that time.
I had time to go out. You understand what I'm saying? Like I found time to do the things that I wanted to do.
Correct.
I took my children places, but I didn't put them in certain programs. You understand what I'm saying? Like, because I said I didn't have the time. Now with my grandchildren, life is a little bit different. I make the time. You understand what I'm saying? I make the time to get them involved in things that's going to build character for them. That's going to go with them a long way when they're away from me through school. And so it's important that we do involve the children in program. Now, with Joel's program, this Tech Core 2, he has the online registration. It says register.techcore2.org, the same email that the same website that EA just gave you. But to register is register.techcore2.org. And go to the website, register your children, get the children involved. They have Lego First League, and then the game room and social justice hangout. So tell us a little bit about Lego First League, Joel.
Okay, yeah. So Lego First League is actually a national robotics competition.
Oh.
So just like
Talking to Mike a little bit.
just like youth can sign up for football, basketball, play against teams local, and then if they win, they can go to like a state championship, and then they can even go to a national. Well, there's a robotics competition that's set up the same way.
Right.
And at the end with this robotics competition, they actually have scholarships for you to go to college.
Wow.
So you are learning skills that you could take, that could get you into college, and then possibly even get a scholarship to go to college. And these things keep your kids safe because they're in
Right.
safe environments.
Right.
It gets them exposure.
Yes.
There's a huge problem in the hoods when youth don't leave 4 or 5 blocks.
Right.
So now when they're in programs like this, they're being exposed to other cultures, other people. There's events, robotics competitions in the Hershey area, the Lancaster
Right.
area. You'll go to Jersey and compete against other teams. So it's a great event, and we have a robotics team for the youngest kids, which is the pre-K up through first grade, and then we have we're entering the robotics competition for kids or youth from 4th to 8th grade, 4th to
Okay.
8th, and we can even blend in high school students in there. So this is going to be our first time in a formal competition.
Wow, that's great.
And it's going to be interesting.
That's so cool because you don't hear about these things. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've never heard of this Lego First League before, and I realized that a lot of the things that I do know about is because I worked with children,
Right.
Or because I'm in the business of doing podcasts and people bring information to me. But if I wasn't in this field, or if I wasn't in the field that I worked with, a lot of the things that go on in the city, you don't hear.
Correct.
And I hear a lot of people say that they don't have the marketing,
That's real.
aspect to being able to put the programs out there. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's why I don't mind having you and having other people come on when this comes to the youth, because we all know that these people are going to have to be people possibly to take care of us.
Absolutely.
And if we don't get our children in order, we're not going to have anybody, just say a few. You understand what I'm saying?
No,
because
you're speaking
because it's
truth.
getting
You're
so
speaking
bad
truth.
out here that now even the young girls want to be so gangster.
Correct.
Whereas when I was coming up, we had girls that fought, but it wasn't so
Right.
bad like the way it is now. You know what I mean? Now I just feel like sometimes I feel like the girls feel like they have to compete against the boys. You know what I mean? They got to be tougher, or you know what I'm saying?
Right.
The boys can't be soft, and so it's so much character, going on with the just the character. You understand
Right.
what I'm saying? So the programs are exactly what the children need.
And let me say one other thing about the Lego First League. So we have a new relationship this year.
Okay.
And it's with University of Penn School of Engineering. So we were accepted into, it's called the PESL program.
Wow.
PESL program. And this program, it puts their college students, they come in and they volunteer at community sites. So we're one of the featured programs for them.
Okay.
And so, again, we talk about culture. Your youth can come and hang around and work with and be mentored by students that go to University of Penn. We have students from Temple. We have students from Villanova. We have students from Cheney. So now they are getting a picture that they may not have seen before. And so now when they think about the future, they're like, well, so-and-so went to Penn. So-and-so went to Temple.
Right.
That's what I want to do.
Exactly.
I see, I've talked to them. They talk like me. We wear the same clothes.
Right.
We like the same music. I fit in.
Right.
You follow me?
Absolutely.
And those are the type things that, unfortunately, a lot of our youth, when you talk to them, they feel like these other places are otherworldly.
Not for them.
It's not for them.
Yes.
And I want to segue into something. I brought a letter in here. I'm not going to say this young man's name.
Okay.
So this young man here, when I first started in 2015, And this is funny. When I first started in 2015, I couldn't get any schools to like send me students. They was like, you know, we don't know who you are. You knew. So I was working with one school, and it was an alternative school. So in alternative schools, everyone is either kicked out or dropped out. So they were like, cool, we'll work with you, you know. So that summer 2015, I had, I think, 8 or 9 students. All but one was from an alternative school. All but one. Okay. So 2 of my students in that class were homeless. So this was my introduction of young boys in the city homeless. And they had to convince me that they were actually homeless, because I ain't believe it. And the reason I ain't believe it, because I came from like this Cosby family. Like, what are you talking about? We all got, you know, rooms and, you know, eat dinner and blah, blah, blah. But when I interact with them, I was like, it blew my mind. I got to see up front the trials that these young men had. I mean, they was like on their own, on their own. So at that time, when the summer was over, I did all that I knew how to do to try to help them out. One of them, I actually got an apartment. I like got a friend of mine a rental apartment. I paid the deposit, paid the first month rent, gave him a job, worked out all this stuff. But even with all that, his life was so unstructured that
he couldn't get it together.
He just stayed in his room and smoked weed. And so everything, for him, everything fell apart. But a couple years later, he contacted me and was like, you know, Mr. Wilson, you know, I got it together. I finished community. I'm doing good. So he took care of himself. But the other young man who I had, he did like the Job Corps thing, moved out to New Mexico, and he was living with a young lady. They fell apart. When they fell apart, he did not know how to live. So like his just existence was like, you know, it was like rolling the dice every day with the police. Every day. You know, and I'm trying to talk to him, you know, long distance. I bought the young man a bike and, you know, Walmart there so he could get back and forth to work, but it didn't matter. He got caught up. So regrettably, he is locked up right now. He is locked up, and he's going to serve at least about 4 or 5 more years. So this is a letter that this young man wrote me, and it's so deep because it's reminiscent of conversations I've had with EA. It's like when he was in my program, and I'm like, "Yo, you need to read this book." He always had a joke. Didn't want to read it. Now he locked up. I'm sending him books. Joel, I read that. Send me something else. And so, like, you know, he called me today, out the blue. Called me today. We talking, and he's, you know, he's got to redo his GED. He's, you know, trying to,
which is good.
Yeah, which is great. Which is great. He's got a job. I don't remember exactly. He's doing like an administrative job, paperwork job or something. You know, I'm just like, bet, you know, do whatever you could do. But now he's like, you know, Mr. Wilson, I'm still now, I can listen. I want to do, you know, and it's like, wow, why couldn't I get to him when he was younger, and I could have got him then? Because I guarantee, listen, you give me these young boys before they are institutionalized in their mind. You give them to me before that, I guarantee you they gonna go to college or they gonna do something powerful.
When you use that phrase institutionalized, elaborate on that, because I hate that word, and because people use that word, and let me use a little psychology. Take it off that phrase. Somebody said, you ever grow up and as a boy, you tell your boys don't like the girl, or don't, you know, and the girls, you ain't supposed to like that boy. Now, when they don't, you feel like, damn, well, you would contribute to telling them the wrong don't likes?
Yes.
Okay, so here's the context in which I'm using it.
So
there's a term, and this comes out of like social science. So I ain't, you know, research, found it, boom.
But I want your
No, I'm gonna bring it. I'm a starting point.
I don't want a book term.
No.
Because I'm curious.
So there's a term called identity foreclosure. Foreclosure.
Okay.
So like, what is identity for? If you run into a young man, you're like, yo, man, what do you want to do? Typically, you know, 80% the response gonna be, I want to be a professional football player. I want to be professional basketball. I want to be a rapper.
Right.
And some of them nowadays will tell you they want to sell drugs. Like they
Right.
want to be
They
big.
say it
They will
now.
tell you now.
Or they wanna be a gangster.
So that's 80% of black boys. And you're like, okay, cool. That's your answer. So then you come back. Well, yo, did you think about a dentist? You know what you could do with a dentist? They come right back. I want to be a ball player, blah, blah, blah. You come back. Well, did you think about a zoologist? It doesn't matter what you say. They just keep coming back to the same thing. That is identity foreclosure.
That's what they
when they
see.
stop themselves from seeing anything else than what is in that small box. And we have more young people falling into that than any other race of people in this country.
Yes.
I can believe that.
Yes.
I just don't like that phrase, institutionalized. I know it was used a lot on guys that don't know how to survive in the world, and they go back and forth recidivism.
Right.
And they saying, "Oh, you institutionalized. You don't know how to survive outside of the jail." Because to me, like you said, that young man, I'm gonna tell you why he couldn't grasp the information you was trying to give him, because he wasn't conscious.
I agree with you.
Nobody taught him, because I understand it now. I was the same one just like him that sent 100 letters for 5 years to different people, and I was, just hearing you explain your state of felicity, as you know, because I know how that feel, because I was once there on the other end writing somebody a letter, especially when all your friends disappear. All your friends disappear after 2-3 years. Everybody disappear. Phone numbers change, just get disconnected. So your social world shrinks very fast, especially when you not in the county. I'm not talking about the county type. When you're up there. So when you say institutionalized, the jails right now, if you're in jail, that's the best place. In that circumstance, you're in a better place than we are. Here's why I say that. You have the best chance in the United States of America, in the world, in the whole world, to grasp knowledge of self and to obtain infinite information. You're secluded from worldly affairs. You're not getting no sex. There's no woman. It's no man. There's no job. You can literally wake up, study, go back to bed. Wake up, eat, study, go back to bed. For as long as, how many years he got left? 2, 3, 4 years? He can go in and study and be a doctor. Had the same knowledge. May not have a paper. He can go and I study psychology. You can ask me any of the syndromes. I just remember by reading the books. Reason why he couldn't get it out here? Because we got too many distractions. We have no programs. We have no programs out here like Tech Core 2 that get the young man or the young woman's mind conscious. And you got to start it from a young age. When you get to being Khadijah's age, EA age, some of y'all going to disagree. It's too late. You're going to be just like Moses. And what was sent to him? A burning bush. A smokeless flame bush. It's a little different than a regular bush. It wasn't regular fire. It was smokeless fire. Symbolism, symbolism. You have to learn what that symbolism means. What it meant. What was that symbolic to? Like recidivism. Why do so many old heads walk around here, anybody over 19 years old, like they are whatever? They're entitled. Like they conquered a world. Like they conquered an entire world. Everybody with no education. How can you feel that confident? Knowing you have no source of information, no source of income. How can you wake up every day knowing that you following that fake ass phraseology, fake it till you make it? How can you thrive every day? Adults, get your children in the Tech Core 2. It's self-explanatory. We can give y'all all types of scenarios. These do it best. That was one of the reasons why I wanted to come on the show. Because I liked the vibe about talking about how can we educate, spread information. Everybody out here is a scholar. What are you doing with that scholar information? Honestly, being as though we judge on the score, we judge on these alphabets and these scoring, these numbers, 700 behavioral scores, beacon scores. Don't tell me shit if you ain't living well. I ain't say you gotta be in the castle. You ain't gotta live in the suburbs. If you're living well, talk to me. Tech Core 2, because you gotta be conscious. You can't be with the shits, thinking that you be all on the bullshit. No. Like 2K just busted here and said P&B Rock got killed. The artist, P&B Rock. It wasn't a shocker to me.
That's crazy. Though.
It ain't even make me. I thought about it.
That's crazy.
P&B Rock is from Philadelphia. He lived down the A. He was living down the A. He's from Pastorian Bayton. That's what that means. But Rock is the artist. Like you got P&B Mean, P&B Rock. They're rappers. You know what I'm saying? And you know, I'm so used to it. Who else gonna get killed?
You know what?
Who else gonna die? But it's gonna be many more.
It's like, it's still saying.
Tech Court, but I ain't dwelling on that. We gotta make conscious who was conscious. The little boys or the parent,
yeah.
You know that your son is on a stairway to hell.
Yeah,
you know your son, I can't say that, your son is subject to a stairway to hell, stairway to the penitentiary. He gonna get the next number. He gonna get the next Allen Iverson number. And all y'all can just keep saying, free. Stop him before you ask for him to be freed. Stop him. And it ain't just about him, her too. Them girls hanging with more gangsters than I ever hung with in my life, and I done hung with gangsters.
See, the thing is, they don't have, it's like, even back in the day when it was gangsters, it was like, people knew you wasn't about that. This not for you.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? Like, because I've had people that said that kind of stuff to me. Like, but let me just say this. Listen to me when I say this. I was hanging out with people that I shouldn't have been hanging out with, and people that knew me knew that they wasn't the kind of people that I should have been hanging out with, and they would say, "You shouldn't hang out around them." You understand what I'm saying? And then I got a whiff after they start doing things that I was like, I ain't about to do because my mind won't. Yeah, you understand? And now when I look back and I see a lot of those people, like the girls, they're dead. You understand what I'm saying? Like, they're not here anymore. Like, girls, these were females. Some of them is dead. Some of them is strung out. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm glad that I had those people that say, get away from them. Because sometimes, and I must speak for me, myself, I was like, I'm not going to say I was the only child, but I was like an only child for a long time. So I had space between myself, my sisters, and my cousins because it was so many years a gap. So I didn't have, like, you know how something happened at school and your family come? Well, I didn't have none of that. You understand what I'm saying? Because it was like I was the first. You know, my mom was a teenager when she had me. Okay. So I kind of wanted to hang out with people that was popular and people that had that kind of stuff because I didn't have that. Right. So I was sometimes, even though I was real nerdy because I was smart, I was still trying to gravitate to that because I wanted to have maybe that protection. You know what I mean? Because I would go to the playground and get jumped. Because I didn't have nobody. I mean, I would fight, but I still would get jumped. Gotcha, I would be there by myself. You understand what I'm saying? So when you talk to the children, you understand what I'm saying? A lot of times, children do what they see. Even if they know better, in their mind they might think they know better, but when you're a child and you're an adolescent mind, it's the crowd that you want to hang out. Most kids want to hang around the crowd. And that's why it's so important to have like those people that said to me, you don't want to hang out with them because they're not the people that you want to hang out with. You know what I mean?
And because I won't even put it in a classification, just overstanding the development of a human being and the mindset. No pricks. Like because it's about being conscious and knowing. This is what I learned in management: recourse for action. I can't say to you, this is what I was taught in management, and it just dawned on me hearing one of these great VPs working under these people, because I'm very privileged to be able to work under some great, like multi-millionaires that taught me mindset and development. And one of the things that you have to be conscious. If you don't learn how to think and know recourse for action, like as an adult. No, the kids do know. You're right. They know. Like adults know. We know that we ain't supposed to drink and drive, but we do it. Why? Because the recourse of action is not that. Unless you get a DUI, then you be like, oh no.
Right.
I know people that have breathalyzers in their car. I rode with one person I could not believe. I said, you should never ever drink again in your whole entire life. Your requirements to drive because you drink and drive is to, every time this joint go off, you gotta blow in it real heavy, and then pause, and then do it again, and then it say beep, 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 okay? And then you can continue to keep moving. But this was issues to complain about too. Now, every time, it defaults automatically. You know how sometimes I used to catch Sprint, right, back in the day, Nextel. Like, hold up. All of a sudden, like, I used to get charged all this money for a certain plan. And when I used to call, they said, oh, mysteriously, the computer, when it upgraded, it just took that off. So I started recognizing that. Oh, every 2 years, let me call. Hello, I just want to check and see if it just got unchecked by accident from a technical perspective. You know, so, you know, I hope I did that. My point, you know, did it get...
Yes.
No, because, you know, human beings, y'all know right from wrong. No longer giving y'all picks about children being adolescents or adults. You know right from wrong. Beretta, don't do it. Tech Core 2.
So
see, this the thing. This is the thing with kids, though. Mm-hmm. Although they know right from wrong, they still like I always say. My grandfather said they still don't know how to play the tape to the end.
Right.
See,
that's a good one,
yeah, my grandfather used to always say.
That was a good job.
Rest in peace, Poppy. He always used to say, "You go do that. You better play the tape to the end." Now, when I was a little kid, because he always saying, tell your story walking. And
if you gonna try to play that tape to the end.
My grandfather had all kinds of stuff. If he ain't want to hear you say what you was talking about,
when
he ain't want to hear what you was talking about, he'd say, tell your story walking.
Oh, yeah, that's a good job, yeah.
You be like, tell your story.
I like
not trying to hear.
I like the other job.
But that's what he would say, like, play the tape to the end.
Yeah, play that
and what I learned
end.
with kids from working with children, this is what I learned from working with children. I worked in schools, I worked in school bus, and I did one-on-one. And what I learned from the kids, especially the ones that was the most out of control, is they just needed somebody to talk to. They just needed somebody that really, really cared about them. And I know people... When people go to work and they have these classes and they say, all right, well, when you're dealing with children, you have to think about this. They always used to tell us, you are the first person that sees the child after the child comes out of the house in the morning. You don't know what happened in their house last night. Right. Every child ain't living peaches and cream. Right. Some of those kids ain't eat last night or this morning.
Like I was.
Some of them kids ain't eat since yesterday. Some of them kids is getting abused at home. Some of those kids is getting molested at home. And you, as a bus driver or a person working with children, you're supposed to be able to spot if that kid ain't looking right. And I know that a lot of people don't take the time to say, when the kid get on the bus and they not looking right, they don't say, what's wrong? I used to be the bus driver that say, what's wrong? What's the matter? You know what I'm saying? And I think that.
So on that point right there, one small thing we do in Tech Core is we always have snacks.
Right.
Because when we start up and kids show up
that's
in the morning,
abuse. That's abuse.
You don't know.
You don't give them no snacks.
No,
that make them greedy. Say no.
we give them healthy snacks.
Greedy.
We give them fruit.
Right.
We give them granola bars, apple juice, water. Because you don't know how they're going to show up. And if they show up and they literally, their stomach is growling, they
eat like 4 or 5 granola bars.
They do.
They drink like
Can I get 3 of those?
They drink like juices and stuff.
They will fill their pocket. We may have to you got
that's how I roll back. I tell you, I stayed in my house. They had a table.
Listen.
There's about 6 of them, and they used to lay out plates. I'm like, yo! They used to put the mashed potatoes right here, boil. I'm like, yo, they got bowls and shit. So I started getting hit. Oh, I'm going to hang around because I know they're going to feed me.
Right. And
then it was, you want to stay in? Yeah.
My grandmother my grandmother had one thing and we did not have a lot of money. We was poor. But my grandmother always fed people. She don't care. She would stretch a pot of I don't know what, but she would feed whoever came in that house. My grandmother never turned people away. She never turned people away from food.
So
grandma.
Something I just want to throw out there. If you think about the times in which black people as a community, we didn't really have that much money.
We had each other.
But we were richer.
We still
now.
We still rich. We richer now.
Now we got more. We
have more
dollars.
money, but
we got more dollars.
We gotta make our own rice and peas. We can make our own sweet potatoes.
What he's saying is we had a lot of we had a little, but we gave a lot.
I know what he was saying.
Now we have a lot and don't want to give a little. Right. You understand what I'm saying?
These people, you got everybody for self right now.
It's just everybody for self. But on that note, don't forget, guys, sign your children up for Tech Core 2. Right. Don't forget register.techcore2.
That's too much fun. 267-405-1921. Call him. He don't mind. See, Khadijah is a little bit more educated, so she always.
I like the word. That's right.
Hyphen underscore.
Because you know why? Because nobody answers the phone anymore. So you might as well go to the website.
No, he does.
But Joel may answer for you. But if you're not busy, you still can go to the website, right?
Yeah. Hit us on Instagram, TechCore2_info. If you just search TechCore2, you'll hit us. Facebook, you'll hit us.
There you go. Google
TikTok.
Amazing Google. TechCore2.
Yes. And before we go, I like to say rest in peace to
P&B Rock. And because the violence got to stop.
The violence. Stop the violence, man. This is, what we going to do? Just kill each other till there's nobody left? Like, we got to stop. Like, we really got to stop. Like, they killed P&B Rock. Rest in peace, P&B Rock.
It's a shame. But it never stops. And there's so many people that lost their life. That's why, like me,
it's crazy. Man.
Like, I will have to really go do you go to I'm going to invite y'all, being that y'all not from Uptown. I'm gonna invite y'all, God willing, to the Uptown Memorial Cookout.
Yeah.
Just Uptown people. The memorial. It's a wall with nothing but deceased members.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So why don't y'all do one in your neighborhood, West Philly?
Yeah, we got one in South Philly too.
Yeah, you should do one. But we have a cookout. It's called the Uptown Memorial. It's a Facebook page. Go and follow the Facebook page, and you can see a lot of the photos. I didn't go last year or the year before that, but the following year, trying to get together and strengthen it up. But we need to do a Philly United.
Yes.
Outside of, like, municipalities, because they ain't going to do it right.
Right.
But we're going to need them for the security, but we could do it ourselves, and that's
Absolutely.
WillPower.
Get Nation Islam for security.
Yes. Thank you, everybody. We see you guys next week.
Call Brother Akbar. You already know.
Yeah.